as we're recording, it's happening, isn't it? That the former
Indeed.
president is being arrested. What is your assessment of all this?
Well, I think it's somewhat depressing. To observe. It's obviously very humiliating for Donald Trump to have his mugshot released. Literally, it was just released about 20 minutes before we started speaking. So it's flying around the world right now. Everyone's looking at it. It's a somewhat unusual picture. His face looks a bit shrunken and smaller than normal, I think. But anyway, leave it up to your viewers to make their own conclusions. But the broader point is I think it was intended as a humiliation of a former president by senior Democrats, Democrat prosecutors who are stretching the law as much as they can to ensnare who is effectively the opposition leader at the moment in the United States. And this is something we've never seen happen in US history. I was just thinking earlier, I think during the Civil War or the aftermath of the Civil War, the Abraham Lincoln pardoned all the Southern generals, as far as I know, and wouldn't prosecute in the interest of national cohesion. And I just think that that's a good lesson for all times. The same, of course, with Nixon. More recently was pardoned, but this time Democrats are choosing a different method or way of going about things, and I think it could end very badly, actually.
Well, this dissent in standards, this use of the judicial system, the politicisation of the judicial system, will only result in the other side doing the same, won't it, eventually?
Yes, look, I think that's exactly what's going to happen eventually. There'll be district attorneys in the future, maybe attorneys general, who want to seek vengeance on certain Democrat politicians, and that will be just as wrong as this is wrong. I'm not a lawyer like you, but it seems to me that all of the underlying laws that these charges are based on, both federal and state, were not intended for these sorts of behaviour. In the federal case, I think one of the laws is the Ku Klux Klan law from the 1860s or 70s, and then of course there's the Enron Act from 2002, which was for a accounting scandal. So it seems to me as a layperson that that the law really is being stretched simply to get Donald Trump and to satisfy the political needs of the Democrat Party in the short term. But I think in the medium and long term, it could come back to bite. And in fact, even in the short term, if you look at the opinion polls here in the US, these indictments have not hurt Donald Trump at all, and he's arguably more popular than he's been for quite a few years.
There seems to be an argument that while it will make him popular among the Republicans, will it get the Republicans out to vote? And what will the reaction be of the so-called independents, the people who are not bound to either party, who make their decisions when they vote?
Yes, well, you're certainly right. The impact has almost exclusively been amongst the Republicans. I think there's been a slight lift in support amongst independents, but if you look at his favourability, across all voters in the last 3 years, the unfavourable rating is about 55 to 60%, and the favourable rating is about 40%, and those figures have not really changed very much at all. Looking at all voters. So, I think if he is the candidate, and that looks increasingly likely for the Republicans, and it's also Joe Biden, then it's going to come down to turnout. And look, that is very, very hard to predict, especially this so far out. Of course, we're all very interested in US elections, but remember the primary is still more than 4 months away. That hasn't even started yet, that process. So the election itself is still quite a long way away, more than a year.